The idea of civil war only works if the people on opposite sides should be together. If there are two opposing sides that are always in opposition, I guess that's interesting, but it's not as interesting as people like the Vision and Scarlet Witch who would seem to always want to be on the same side.
Viz, we talked about this.
Yes, but the door was open, so I assumed that...
What I love about Vision, he's sort of on his own quest, which is to understand human beings, and he realizes that loyalty has got to come through love, real loyalty. So I think that he's very intrigued by what love is.
Friends, I know you believe what you're doing is right, but for the collective good, I cannot allow this to continue.
He's trying to get both sides to behave in a manner that's acceptable and move forward in a very logical way. It's complicated by the fact that he is starting to experience affection for Scarlet Witch.
Spirits lifted.
Which is something from the books that's a great arc for him.
The way that they've intelligently linked them is that they're powered from the same source. So wherever she gets her powers actually came from the same stone that gives him his whole life.
Miss Maximoff manipulates molecular polarity, allowing her to alter reality. I'm a little harder to explain.
What you struggle with is he is AI, he's not human, and yet he's the most subdued and felt sentiment in the room. He makes sense in every level, in a logical level and in an emotional level. Although he doesn't mean to, because it's a computer, he doesn't know the difference, but it's his performance is spot on.
Mr. Stark would like to avoid the possibility of another public incident until the Accords are on a more secure foundation.
And what do you want?
For people to see you as I do.
There are moments of such intense claustrophobia in this thing, because you are wearing a rubber balaclava that comes down to underneath your eyebrows and comes up to your chin, and this is the only piece of your entire body that is open to the air, and even that is covered in layers and layers and layers and layers of makeup. You really, really have to focus on meditate and focus on the long line of actors that would like to be in your position, and just remember how lucky you are. Are you smoldering? I'm smoldering.
Yeah.
You doing the eye squinty thing?
So much of the Civil War story is told from Captain America's point of view. We've brought in Tony Stark to showcase that other side of that argument, and it's really the two of them and the people that team up with them. But at the same time, we thought it would be fun to introduce a third side, to introduce a character that audiences have wanted us to introduce for many, many years, who comes in and is really not agreeing with either side in particular and can represent sort of fresh eyes to see Tony's side of the argument, to see Cap's side of the argument, and frankly, to not necessarily care about either side of those arguments because he has his own agenda, and that's T'Challa, the Black Panther. The notion of the Black Panther, the nation of Wakanda, where he comes from, has been seeded going back to Iron Man 2. So it really felt like this was time.
Kevin was like, hey, we're calling you about this character that I think you're interested in. I think you know who I'm talking about. And I said, yeah, I think so. Like, are you interested in playing him? Yes. It was really that simple.
Chadwick is a really smart, interesting, dynamic guy.
I think Marvel is so consistent at bringing on such fine actors. It really feels like he's added to this group.
Right. Yeah, that was good.
And his presence on set, I think, raises the stakes a little bit for everybody.
Growing up, I was a Black Panther fan. To see Black Panther come to life is really kind of like a dream come true. Chad gives him a great energy. He gives him a great confidence, a stoicness that I feel that character needs.
Hey, what are you doing? Black Panther's been so incredibly exciting. In the comics, he's so ferocious. He's one of the best trained martial artists in the Marvel Universe. Where Cap is based in old school martial arts like judo, karate, taekwondo, aikido, You've got Panther with the more kind of flowing martial arts, like we're basing stuff off of capoeira. A lot of his acrobatic movement is capoeira, and a lot of almost Chinese influence with kung fu used with him.
There, that's good.
I did some martial arts training, some fight training with the stunts as well.
We'll turn everything a little bit. There, that's it.
Because Black Panther comes from his own culture, we usually try to find the touchstones for each character and what is really going to drive the design language for that character.
The Black Panther has been the protector of Wakanda for generations. A mantle passed from warrior to warrior.
Because Wakanda has not really been specifically figured out or designed yet, it was a little bit of a challenge because we didn't know how sci-fi or what that language was going to be. So a lot of our early takes were trying to figure out, should the suit feel very sci-fi? Should it be sort of really representative of a technology level that is even more advanced than Iron Man? Or should we really push for sort of really cultural things? Like, you feel that this suit is the pinnacle of that culture as opposed to a technology. What we ended up trying to bring to it was really a sense of that combination of the two. Woven into that construction is also the culture. So there's a lot of sense of etchings and very fine detail that would be from hopefully a cultural roots, but the way it was executed was a way that our technology level wouldn't be able to be accomplished.
It's supposed to be a vibranium weave. It's a vibranium weave into it. It's essentially his armor. First thing I thought is they're gonna be little kids trying to dress up like this. Oh, Halloween. That's literally the first thing I thought was like, oh wow.
There's something really exciting about, in a Captain America movie, who's known for his shield, this vibranium shield, to introduce Black Panther. They're coming from Wakanda, where vibranium came from, that made his shield, and who wears a vibranium suit. So there's a natural symmetry between the two characters in our iconography.
It's amazing. Every time you see these suits, it's like, oh, that's another cool character.
On the roof!
Hey, everyone.
He is the top of that pyramid when it comes to our character. He's been Spider-Man for at least 6 months when we meet him. We don't do the spider bite. We don't do the death of Uncle Ben. We've seen that before.
When you see him on screen, especially next to characters like Tony Stark, next to Steve Rogers, he brings something special and different to that role because there is an innocence to him.
We wanted to go back to sort of like a retro look to him, and I think we created that, and yet this is a Tony Stark suit, so it's not just everybody's Spider-Man moment, so this is something that Tony gives him. So it's got some pretty cool moments.
While we have all the spectacle of Spider-Man, you also want to focus on the drama and the conflict and the humor of Peter Parker. And that's one of the reasons why Tom Holland, we think, is going to be so incredible and so amazing as Peter Parker.
It was more important to find somebody more age appropriate that would convey that energy and that naivete that would come from being that age and having that kind of power. And we also thought it was really interesting to take that naivete and smash it into the cynicism of a Tony Stark.
Hey, Mr. Stark, what should I do?
What we discussed, keep your distance, web him up.
Okay, copy that.
Now we're going to see how he differs from the Tony Starks, from the Steve Rogers. And we will meet him for the first time as he gets his first taste of being a part of that world.
You got hard, kid. Where you from?
Queens.
Brooklyn.
And action.
Hello, Mr. Stark? Should I go get those guys up there? Peter is such a young kid, and he's so, oblivious to kind of what just went on. Tony hasn't told him anything. All Tony said that we need to go to Berlin, and you need to just have my back, kind of thing. I can't go to Germany. No, I've got homework.
I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that.
We're fortunate enough to end up with Tom as Spider-Man, who has a very capable physical background himself, and brings an awesome physicality to the character that is a lot of fun to watch.
Please don't be mad at me when you wake up.
This is one of the most beloved Marvel characters in the Marvel Universe, and our job is to make him look different, make him look cool, and do something that people haven't seen before, and I think we're doing that.
I know we're on different teams and we're fighting and all, but I love it, dude. It's awesome.
Team Tony, Team Tony Tiger.
Our team would be Tony Stark, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Vision, and War Machine.
Pick your sides really, really carefully.
It's all been leading to this.
Sparks are gonna fly.
The throwdown.
Today we're shooting one of the biggest scenes in the movie. In Civil War, it's one of the biggest scenes, I think, in any Marvel movie ever.
Old friends now forced to fight on the battlefield. Great.
We refer to it as the splash panel.
It's like a double panel in a book. You open up and you look through it, and you look for all the intricate detail of who's fighting who.
Some are foregrounded, some are backgrounded. It's very.
So those are our cinematic equivalent of a double panel or a splash panel.
This is like a comic book fan's dream to see that.
Oh, we doing that?
Yeah.
We had other comic book fans out there on the crew who were tearing up, and it's amazing to see how much impact this mythology has on people who grew up with it.
Best crew ever. I've had so much fun.
You know, there's been a few moments in these films where you kind of look around and, oh, I'm in good company. This is rad. All right, you know, I got my costume on and I'm ready to kick some booty.
There was one moment where we had everybody there. It definitely felt like we were shooting something epic. These are the real heroes. I'm terrified. I'm saying I don't want to do this.
A lot of great actors on set today, a lot of great stunts going on. It's gonna be a really hot and fun day.
It was very surreal. Everyone turned to everybody else and was just kind of wide-eyed and saying, "Like, this is the first time and the last time this will ever happen."
My mind's about blown. His might be as well.
If you're talking about two sides lining up against each other, more powerful characters become key pieces. It's like a chess match.
Just kicked War Machine, he lands, he's facing you, and then you come across.
No one's obviously trying to kill each other, so it's a different kind of fighting technique. We're divided. Kind of ridiculous. Why are we fighting? What are we doing? What are we doing, guys? Come on.
We're still friends, right?
Depends on how hard you hit me.
The great thing Marvel has done, instead of putting all the superheroes in this movie, they've been able to match the superheroes up pretty well.
Get him off me.
Even though everyone's fighting all at the same time, they have to obviously do like insular sort of fight moments.
This can't seem to miss.
First time for everything.
Multiple contusions detected.
Yeah, I detected that too.
We've been spending months basically prevising it, and basically where we'd go in on the computer and just plan the attack. And one of the complications about it is like just the sheer number of heroes you have fighting each other, finding those moments that we most wanted to see, and getting every hero a chance through the course of the film to kind of interact with each other and fight with each other. That was probably one of the hardest parts.
The amount of prep going into that sequence was more than anything I've ever seen or done. That's the fight that people have been talking about in the comics for years of what would happen if this character fought this character. Well, we had to kind of give answers to that.
When you have a splash panel and you have a bunch of superheroes, go big or go home, right? And the idea was, what new trick can we do that will potentially be a showstopper so that we can achieve all these guys from stopping one another?
Throw it at this. Now! Oh, come on! Oh, man, I thought it was a water truck.
Paul Rudd is very funny. And you bring him to a giant superhero fight, and you could see the other side going, all right, well,
Right.
he brought an ant.
On my signal, run like hell. And if I tear myself in half, don't come back for me.
Gonna tear himself in half? You sure about this, Scott?
I do it all the time. I mean, once, in a lab, then I passed out.
Okay, tiny dude is big now. He's big now.
Suddenly, Paul Rudd, perhaps for the first time, is terrifying.
That's a power that you've never seen in the Marvel Universe, and I think, again, gives our film a scope that's going to be unexpected.
Okay, anybody on our side hiding any shocking and fantastic abilities they'd like to disclose? I'm open to suggestions.
In a scene where there's so much going on, you need something new, something bigger and crazier. Yes! To kind of put the final stamp on it and go into the rest of the movie. And that seemed like a good way to go.
Does anyone have any orange slices?
We didn't want to fall into a structure where the Avengers move into a conflict mode with one another, then sort of repair that and fight another bad guy. It was very important to us that the structure of the film be such that the Act 3 climax was between the actual Avengers themselves.
We are introducing another villain. And he's a very different kind of villain who is not responsible for the events that lead up to Civil War, but who is fanning the flames and who is utilizing this conflict to his own advantage.
The fake doctor is actually Colonel Helmut Zemo, Sokovian intelligence.
It was very important for us to give Zemo a valid point of view, like we were giving, and that was sort of, you know, the heart of how we constructed the narrative and the storytelling in this movie, is that every character has some validity to our point of view. And we've always been more excited by villains who do have a valid point of view. We've always found them scarier and more threatening than villains you can write off as crazy or unhinged. And so Brule has this amazing ability as an actor to hold together with somebody who's very dangerous and scary, while at the same time being grounded in a very relatable human emotions and experience. And I think that's what's so exciting and dangerous about Zemo in this movie.
I think
he is both of those things.
what was really important to us was that he had no superpowers. He doesn't. He's a human being.
I knew I couldn't kill them. More powerful men than me have tried. But if I could get them to kill each other.
What we liked about the idea of Daniel Bruhl was, here's a grounded character in the Marvel Universe reacting to the idea that the Avengers are able to go wherever they want and fight bad guys, but at a cost. And he's the very human face to that cost. And I think bringing his perspective in the movie was really important, because it's not just about what other superheroes think about each other, it's what the common man thinks about the idea of superheroes in their everyday lives.
You can't say he's bad. You can't say he's just the bad. He's the villain, you know. He has his very understandable reasons for the things he does. And that's what attracted me about the part, that it's not a one-dimensional villain who is just mean. My character is clever enough to know that nobody is strong enough to kill them, nobody is strong enough to destroy them. So he comes to the idea and to the conclusion that, you know, they should really damage themselves.
The Avengers have made mistakes, and he's a product of one of their mistakes. So he's really a very allegorical villain in this movie. He's just, he's their sins come to call on them. He's methodical and intelligent and passionate about his goal.
And what's really interesting about him as an antagonist is that he's able to do something that Loki and that Malekith has never been able to do, which is to rip the Avengers apart almost without throwing a single punch.
So how does it feel? Spend all that time, all that effort, and to see it fail so spectacularly. Did it.
As soon as, frankly, we shot the scene with Zola in Winter Soldier, I had that fact in my head that Steve's best friend killed Tony's parents. What the hell are we gonna do with that? Are we gonna ignore that? You know, that's crazy, but it's so apocalyptic if you let it out that it did seem like, well, we might just have to not tell anybody, you know, because it'll just blow the Avengers up.
Right.
And then when it came time and we reached the agreement, like, let's do Civil War, then it suddenly seemed like we can use the atom bomb we've got.
Right. It's no longer a liability, now
Yeah.
it's a benefit.
We spent one movie and a TV show saving Howard's life. Now we're just gonna smack him around again. And Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, is about to kill his old personal acquaintance, Howard Stark, thereby setting off a chain of events that can only end in, dare we say, civil war.
thought about this moment forever where I just say, Bucky has just completely been more of an influence in my life that I could have imagined, and not in a good way.
You know, I didn't always handle both me, Steve. Did you? No. Yes.
It's the perfect timing to have that bit of a shocker in Act 3 so that you're like, all right, we thought the movie was going this way. No, it isn't. It's about to get so trippy.
The worst thing that can happen in this movie, the darkest moment, the end of Act 2, is all the Avengers fighting each other. We're not gonna have anything bigger than that. That's crazy, and it's epic. So let's do that. It's the worst thing that can happen. They all fight each other, and then the third act gets smaller, personal. And, you know, it's sad because if this works right, Tony and Steve beating the crap out of each other is emotional.
He's my friend. So was I.
The level of satisfaction either of them can have keeps flopping. You know, Steve wins, but then he's got to put the shield down. He got Bucky, but who the hell is he?
At that point, if I'm the audience, hopefully, I'm going to say, all right, there's no way back from this. The whole universe is about to explode.
That shield doesn't belong to you. You don't deserve it. My father made that shield.
Russo's, they make human stories with a superhero feel, as opposed to a superhero movie with human touches. That's what makes it so great. There's no right, there's no wrong. There's no clear evil villain on either side of this. It's just a matter of who you agree with.
There's times in your life when you must make a choice. And that should always be who you are. You should take a stand for what you believe in. And I think this is what these superheroes do. It does divide them, but they do take a stand.
And the question is, will they be able to stick together as the heroic team that they are, or will this division tear them apart completely?
But it's great seeing all those people suited up and knowing that we're tackling a story that a lot of fans want to see, and a story that's going to jump off for a next chapter in the Marvel world.
Well, that's what's exciting about Civil War, is that you have the opportunity to tear down this family unit just prior to their darkest hour. You're giving the audience a great distance to travel to see if they actually can pull it back together to defeat what the universe will ultimately consider its biggest threat ever.
No matter what, I promise you, if you need us, if you need me,